I see balance is bullshit, because I really don't believe that life is ever like a perfect seesaw. And I don't think you ever balance being a mom and working and being an entrepreneur and taking care of yourself.
Okay, so tell me, let's go back to the first part about like this whole mom thing of being an entrepreneur, working full time, and still connecting with your kids. Like, we know the connection is the protective factor of mental health in children. All the research is showing that. And I just know so many moms that are having this such a challenging time to juggle the demands of work and still being there for their kids.
Well, I think you have set, like, I'll give you, I love stories, right? Stories are 22 times more powerful than any fact or stat I could give you. So, for instance, we just had Valentine's Day, right? And instead of giving them boxes of chocolate and a card that they probably were just going to recycle or throw away, I gave them each an experience. So one day on Saturday, my son and I went skiing together. And it was just the two of us, just on the mountain, just riding the chairlifts, just having those conversations, right? But I defended the time just like I would defend getting my hair done on a Saturday or going out with my girlfriends for brunch on a Saturday. It was my quote unquote date time with my son, right? Same thing 2 weeks later, I took my daughter loves art, right? We went to a studio on a Friday night and we did a painting together. And it was just the two of us for 2.5 hours, just using creativity, being together, doing something different, not in the house. The dishwasher didn't need to be empty. The dog didn't need to be taken out. And we were just together. So I truly believe, just like any other appointment, you have to make the time, and it takes effort, right? And that's where I go back to that quality versus quantity, right? Like, it doesn't have to be every day. You don't have to do a skiing trip or an art project every week. But how are you really spending that quality time with your children?
Erika, you're totally speaking my language, because I think that one-on-one time with each child is so important, but we have to be absolutely intentional about it. And maybe for some people, it's just going to be a lot cheaper of a outing that might be a picnic because of finances. But I think that kids love it. They love it because we're showing them that they're worthy to go spend time with them.
Exactly. And that's what I'm saying. So that was like a big deal because it was Valentine's Day, but like it could be as simple as, hey, listen, let's go on a walk together. Or, hey, listen, let's just read this book together, and be intentional for that 10 minutes. They will remember that so much more. Every once in a while too, and I'll give a parent tip here, that they love when I go and sit in the back seat with them. I know it sounds so silly, but like we go somewhere, and instead of sitting in the passenger seat talking to my husband or being on my phone, I'll go sit in the back seat with them. And it's like, it's exciting for them. It doesn't cost you a penny, but it can be a 10-minute drive to basketball practice.
Right. Love it. That's totally, that is getting on their turf. That is the idea of, like, you're literally getting in their area of the back seat of the car. I hadn't thought of that one before. Like, I love it.
And the other thing is, I always ask them one of my favorite questions. And I was driving with a colleague the other day because I was on a business trip, and I was checking in with the kids, and she reminded me, like, I don't even think twice about it anymore, but she actually brought it up a few days later in front of someone. And she was like, I thought it was so cool how Erika, and she doesn't have children, but she said, hey, Erika said to her kids in the car, who were you kind to today? Right? They couldn't answer yes or no. How was school? Good. What'd you do? Nothing. Right? Like, make them think about gratitude. Make them think about abundance. Like, let them know. And then when they tell you, I was kind to Johnny. Well, what did you do with Johnny? Well, I let Johnny borrow my colored pencils today during art, or whatever it is. Get them engaged and let them, like, figure out that you really want to know more about those details.
Right. So I love, okay, so there's big stuff, there's asking intentional questions. Can you get into, like, just those fine little moments in the nuances and the boringness of life at home, of those connections while you are super busy and working full time and maybe more?
Yes. I love this question. Okay, so this is really simple and really fun to do with your family. So this actually started because I have to give my husband the credit where credit's due. And I don't even know exactly how it started, but one day my daughter said, oh, it's 8/11. Now, she was born on August 11th.
Okay.
And my husband goes, it wasn't August at all. It was probably February. And he goes, happy birthday, Addie, right? Well, long story short, it started catching on. And now every time we see someone's birthday on the clock, regardless of what month it is, what day it is. So for instance, my husband's September 10th. So at 9/10, my son 7/22, my daughter 8/11, me 4/14, our dog 10/17. When we see that time on the clock, if we're with each other, we have a mini birthday party. Like literally it's like, happy birthday. And literally like it's just that moment of joy, reminding us that just that one little thing, how it can put you in a different mood. It can put you in a different mindset. And I know it may seem cheesy, but to our family, it's like actually kind of comical now. And my husband and I even do it now for our anniversary. When I see 9/22 on the clock, I'll say, we'll put happy A, right? And it's just our way of saying, hey, listen, I'm thinking of you today.
Right. Okay, so last question before we're going to move on. But what about stuff like they've had a bad day or the homework stuff or chores, like the connections within those moments?
Love that. And I love adversity. Like, and when I say that, like, I really believe that one of the best things we can teach our children is resilience, adversity, failure. That failure's not like means you're a failure. That failure actually is going to help build that muscle of resiliency. And again, unless we're using that muscle, unless we're growing it and working it, we're not going to get stronger. And with our children, I think so many times that they're being so sheltered in life in general or protected, you got to teach them failure. But I think it's really important to talk about the failure, bringing up your own examples of failure, and also making sure you're helping them. And I remember just, the other day where my son didn't do so well on an English language art test. And I told him about how I was in remedial reading from 1st to 5th grade. And I told him listen, mom still went on to be an engineer and mom started several businesses, and reminding them that just because the outside looks okay, that actually, and reminding them that actually made me stronger. That made me better, because if everything came easy, then what would you actually work towards? And so I think reminding them of your own failure, your own adversity, when they're stumbling, but also using it as an opportunity to have a lesson. Instead of reprimanding, having a conversation with them, treating them like they're young adults, and actually engaging them, not lecturing them, engaging with them.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so I want to go back to, you said that women, we can have it all at different times. So Sheryl Sandberg's book, Lean In, came out about 12 years ago. And I've asked other women about this. What do you think of the concepts of being able to have it all, or when that is and what that means for us? And can you just kind of define that a little bit more of what you said earlier?
Yeah, I think you can have it all, but not all at one time. So I think when you hear someone say have it all, you think, well, you got to be the mother, and you got to work full time, and you got to start your business, and you got to be able to read, and your skin needs to look great, and you need to make it to the gym. Stop. Because a confused mind does nothing, right? And when we feel that we're setting ourselves up for failure, we will fail, right? By trying to put too much on our plate. And to me, it's really being intentional. And one of my frameworks actually talks about adding weight, and adding weight where it matters, but removing the weight where it doesn't serve you anymore. Where are you feeling dragged down? Where are you feeling like that weight is just almost holding you back like shackles? And what can you start saying no to? So my whole premise is being audacious and being bold and brave and all this sort of stuff. But sometimes audacity actually happens in the real quiet moments. When you set the boundary, when you say no, when you don't take the job that you thought that you were going to take, right? And not being afraid to say no, because maybe it's not your season. And it's okay. It doesn't mean that it's never going to happen. It doesn't mean that season isn't coming. But I think when we set those intentional boundaries and we're willing to be audacious about sometimes not having it all, that actually is what actually builds us to be stronger.